Hey, welcome to a new episode of the Not Your Market podcast. This is episode 5 of the second season. This is the first one of 2 holiday edition episodes. Today I'm going to be talking about a lot of news, marketing, business, and tech. On the next episode, I'm going to be talking about some of the latest holiday campaigns that I found interesting this year. So without any further ado, let's kick this in. Hey, welcome and thank you for joining me on this episode of the Not Your Market podcast. This episode is being recorded live on LinkedIn Live on December 20th, 2021. This is episode 5 of the second season. So thank you so much for joining me. This is going to be the first, as I said, the first of 2 episodes that are going to be focused on holidays. And without any further ado, let's jump into the headline. So, the first one that I wanted to talk about is related with Peloton and the latest episode of this Sex and the City TV show reboot that landed last week on HBO Max. This first episode showed Mr. Big, which is a character played by actor Chris North. And he died while riding one of the bikes. And one of the things that Peloton did was that they decided to launch a commercial that used Ryan Reynolds to say that he was alive. Okay, and that was actually the message. He's alive. And then on December 16th, they decided to pull that off, because there has been some accusations to or relating Chris North with sexual harassment issues, which obviously would not be anything. I mean, something that any brand would like them to be related with. So I don't know if this is something that they did intentionally or if this was genuinely something that it took them by surprise. One of the things that is important, though, is that the impact of the social talk that a lot of customers and a lot of people was having and on social media was real. And I don't know if it helped them to fix the damage, or to try to stop a little bit this snowball of people talking about this brand and the side effects of using these kind of products. You know that back last year there was a lot of polemic surrounding Peloton, because some people died while using one of the treadmills, and there has been a lot of controversy related with these products, and this is just something that makes it even more obvious that having or working with wellness and fitness industry is usually something that is very difficult, and you have to be very careful with the health of your customers. Okay. So I don't know if this was a PR stunt to begin with, but the fact is that it didn't work out at all at the end. I'm not saying that this is going to be incredibly hurtful for the brand. Probably this is just going to be another thing that they are going to be able to move on from. But there's a lot of noise. Sometimes it is better for you to avoid this kind of noise, especially when you are doing or recovering from some PR backlash in the past. So the next news comes from, I have it from MarketingDive, and I also found an article from MarketingBrew that explains really good this, and it has to do with Bombay Sapphire, the gin brand. They decided to create some interactive window shops in New York City, specifically at Soho, the neighborhood. One of the things that they decided to do was to make sure that they created something that was related with street marketing, but that makes them, or that would allow them to connect with their customers. So if you think about this, it is interesting, because one of the most difficult things when you work street marketing actions usually has to do with how do you measure the performance of that marketing collateral. Usually, in the past, there was just so much that you could assume in terms of the actual impact that those collaterals would have. Nowadays, and this example from Bombay Sapphire, it is great for that. We can use a lot of technology to overcome that barrier of the offline and online world. So in the MarketingBrew article, one of the things that they highlight, which is interesting, has to do with how they're using QR codes and how they're using also partnerships to increase the share of voice that the brand has. One of the things that you could do if you were just stumbling around and you cross in front of one of these storefronts windows would be that you could get a code so that you get a free drink at a nearby bar, which is one of the partners from the brand. So this makes it interesting because allows the brand to connect even further with the customer, but also with the partners that are going to be allowing them to to leverage on that relationship with the customers. It is interesting, though. This is not the first time that we are seeing this happening, and one of the things that usually makes this kind of actions difficult to sustain in time has to do with how convenient can you be in time for the customers to be willing and eager to share their information with you. So one of the things that you could try to do is to have a mobile app, obviously, and to have them sign up on your app so that every time that you want to interact with them, you actually have them logged in and you can track that information. And obviously this has to do with first party data, which is going to be the thing that you will have to focus in the future. However, how much or how many times would you, in the case of a brand like Bombay Sapphire, would be connecting with a user or with a customer in that at that level, so that the connection makes sense and that they can keep giving more information to you, so that you can enrich their customer profile. Just because what you would like to do is to have to be more convenient to them, obviously, right? However, a great way to break the mold, to break through the noise, especially in crowded places like New York City. So this is just another way of doing so, especially during these times that we are just living in this mixture of we're getting out of the pandemic, and we are still yet being or we're still in the reconfiguration of how we're going to do things. But very interesting though. So the next 4 news has to do with Meta and with different things. I mean, from the Metaverse to things like the traditional business model that Meta already has. So let's begin with Metaverse news. I'm just going to share with you this article from TheNextWeb that says or explains that Intel was expressing how the metaverse will require 1,000 times a boost of computer power or computing power to be sustainable or to be run. So one of the things that now we are going to see a lot of people talking about regarding the metaverse and this whole idea of transcending into a digital environment without having to compromise the way we interact with each other has to do with the sustainability in terms of environment as well, right? I mean, if you need a lot of computing power, you would need to make sure that you have a sustainable way and a highly efficient way to produce that power, right? With that being said, there are some other group of people that are pulling the rope towards the blockchain. Towards blockchain and the use and the implementation of blockchain as a solution for things like the metaverse, which could be something interesting or not. It would all depends on the way that we can implement that. Another news that has to do with the metaverse has to do with how some investors are buying some metaverse gift this holiday season as NFTs, and this is the connection that we had, a part of the connection with the blockchain that I was mentioning before. So a few of the things that are on the wish list of some of them, cryptos, NFTs, and an Ethereum name service domain like .eth, which is the equivalent of .com in the blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain. So one thing to keep in mind, though, is that there is a lot of movement. But when I say a lot, there's people that is actually decorating their real estate in the metaverse with things that they purchase on blockchain, NFTs, and so forth. And there's people that are still not yet into what the metaverse is. So one thing that it becomes obvious to me is that the metaverse is at least as today is not an inclusive way or implementation of technology, and that could represent some kind of warning or it would be a warm sign in my case towards the use of this technology. And how it could be widespread, right? Because it would probably convert into something or transform into something that is so exclusive that only the 1% of the population is going to be able to get access to it or to actually do something meaningful in there. When I say 1%, it could be 20%, I don't know, okay? But if you compare that with just the access to the internet, we're talking about different things, totally different things. So the next thing that has to do with Meta, which is the less dramatic news, comes also from MarketingWeek. It says that Meta promises an ad ecosystem that is going to use less private data, which is something that is interesting, especially because the privacy community it's pulling towards a future where advertisers are not going to be so reliant, or they're not going to need to be so reliant onto using and leveraging a lot of private information to target people, which essentially has been the way Facebook, Google's, but especially Facebook's or Meta's business model has been built upon, and it is very interesting. I would, you know, that you will have the links to the articles in the show notes. I would totally recommend to take a look at this article. I'm going to share another article. I believe that is from TheNextWeb that explains also how of an opportunity it is for actual modern marketers. The fact that we are not going to be reliant on cookies and third-party cookies that would be towards building a great marketing strategy, especially when we have to be more creative every time. So, and the final news about Meta this week, which was packed with a lot of news, has to do with the fact that Meta's portal is going to support live American Sign Language. And I think that this is really, really great. We're seeing more and more different approaches and into what actually can we use these. And this news is from Mashable, Mashable, okay, by the way. So we're actually seeing useful cases of this kind of technology and these kind of gadgets put into work. If you think about accessibility issues and accessibility topics, you take, for instance, the Meta's portal, or you take the Amazon's Astro, for instance, those could be really powerful gadgets and tools for people that have some sort of physical limitations in real world. And I would believe that whoever manages to become the leading brand in terms of usability, of actually understanding what the problem that the customer has, that the user has, and how it should be managed and solved, I believe those are going to be the one crowning themselves as one of the leading future techs. So, well, this is really, really interesting because it's just happened. I mean, this is a lighter side of the things that Meta is doing. You know that, especially in the past few years, everything surrounding Meta has been kind of dark. And I mean, sometimes, or many times, or most of the times, with justifiable costs. But it's interesting to see, and it's great news to see them also pushing towards accessibility. So there is a news that I was reading about on MorningBrew that caught my eye, and has to do with a joint venture between Oreo and Barefoot Wines. They just created this joint venture of a wine and cookie, the cookie brand. So one of the things that I believe makes this so bizarre, I mean, not only me, I mean, a lot of people are calling this, as you can see in this article, this joint venture bizarre, has to do with how different probably the generic target audience would be. But if you pay close attention into things that some other brands have done in the past, and how they have managed to combine different environments and different ecosystems into the same roof, being extremely successful in that, well, then you would say, okay, this probably is not so different, right? And it could probably make sense. However, in one of the things that it is interesting is that usually you would not mix wine and sweets, or alcohol and sweets, for that matter. And this is something that they would just do. So if you also pay attention to what Barefoot as a wine brand is, it's a kind of different brand. Also, it's not your traditional kind of old style wine cellar or wine winery. That could allow them to play around a little bit more. All right, and one of the last news that I wanted to share with you, and this is not surprising, at least to me, is just the fact that gift cards are being more popular than ever this year. Obviously, and this article from MorningBrew also says that that is okay to buy retailers, obviously, because once you have used or you have given a gift card as a present, you are basically guaranteeing that that person, the receiver of that gift, is going to have to use that in that credit in the store, right? So a lot of things are happening here. Okay, so one of the things that in some cases happens is that if you purchase a gift card, some companies and some brands are adding more credit, like a percentage of extra money to the credit, just because of the convenience. Also, another thing that is happening is that there is a lot of people that is still not comfortable about going on public places and to deal with the fact that there's going to be a lot of people rushing to get the presents in time for the holidays. And in addition to that, if you are trying to look for that perfect gift and because of the supply chain issues, you don't get or you don't manage to get that specific gift or present, this is a great way to fix that and to make sure that you have that person cover with what they would like to have whatsoever. All right, and to wrap this episode up, that was really, I think it was longer than what I'm trying to do usually now. I wanted to talk about about this Adweek article that explains how Pantone landed on the very Perry, which is the 2022 Pantone color of the year. One of the things that it is interesting, I would totally recommend you to take a read on that. It would be a weekend read, I would say. One of the things that in the article is explained is how this color and the tones of these colors allow us to understand and to feel at ease with how everything is changing, especially due to COVID. Okay, so everything is uncertain. Some things are more uncertain than others. And according to, the Pantone is are the colors experts. And these colors help us to focus on not the things that is changing, but how to actually take action and to move forward through everything that we have been going on. To make sure that we can get together through the pandemic issue, which apparently we are still far from getting off, because there's a lot of countries that are imposing new restrictions. Here in Europe, we have the Netherlands imposing some lockdowns and quarantines, and things are, they apparently are not so good now, right? So let's just hope for the best. And just take a read of that article Adweek, okay? So it's an article by Robert Clara, highly recommended. So, that was all for this episode, the first holiday episode of the 2021. As I said, I'm going to launch another one. Probably I'm going to try to do it before Christmas, doing just a summary of the different campaigns that I found interesting for this year holiday advertisement campaigns, and with some comments on how are they doing. And next week I'm going to also launch a wrap up episode of 2021. I'm going to work on what we can expect from marketing or about marketing for 2022, but also I'm going to check how accurate was I when I did the same last year, speaking about 2021, which is going to be interesting. So stay tuned, and those are going to be that would be the last episode of the year, or probably the first one of the 2022. So once again, thank you so much for being here with me. If you enjoy the show, Nothing would make me happier than if you subscribe on anywhere you watch the show or listen to the show. Please recommend it if you would like to hear more from me. Also, post some reviews about the show on your favorite podcast aggregator. Follow me on any social media if you want. Please be safe. Enjoy the holidays and see you next time. Lumpy out.